The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most cities on Earth. Its walls were made of crystal that caught light from 3 different suns and threw rainbow colors across the floor. Representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their special chairs, each one designed for their unique bodies. Some floated in tanks of liquid. Others hung from the ceiling. A few looked almost human, but most did not. Ambassador Szeth Kara stood in the center of the hall. He was tall, even for his people. His forearms moved as he talked, and his scales caught the light. The Vorthan Empire had ruled this part of space for over 1,000 years. They were strong, smart, and feared by everyone. Szeth Kara knew this, and it showed in the way he carried himself. "Members of the Council," he said, his voice loud and clear. "Today we discuss a small problem, a tiny world called Earth. The creatures there call themselves humans. They are new to space travel, very new. They have only been flying between stars for less than 200 years. Some of the aliens in the hall made sounds that might have been laughter. Others just watched with their strange eyes." Szeth Kara continued, "These humans think they can join our council. They think they deserve respect. But look at them." He pointed to a small section where 2 humans sat quietly. "They are weak. They are small. They have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. They cannot even breathe most of the atmospheres in this galaxy without machines to help them." Captain Jake Morrison sat in the observer section. He was 52 years old and had spent 30 years in Earth's Space Navy. His face was weathered from years of service, and his gray hair was cut short. Next to him sat Dr. Lisa Carter. She was younger, maybe 35, with brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She was Earth's best expert on alien life forms. Both humans wore simple blue uniforms with small Earth patches on their shoulders. Jake had heard speeches like this before. The Vorthans were not the first aliens to think humans were weak. But he had learned to listen carefully. Sometimes enemies told you exactly what they planned to do. Elder Quishin floated forward from her section of the hall. The Ethereal Collective were old, maybe the oldest species in the galaxy. They looked like living ghosts, see-through and glowing softly. Elder Quishin had been alive for over 300 years, and she had seen many wars. "Ambassador Szeth Kara," she said, her voice soft but clear. "You speak of things you do not understand. We have watched the humans for 50 years. We have studied them carefully. They are not like other species." Szeth Kara's scales rippled, which Jake had learned meant the alien was amused. "Elder Quishin, with respect, you see danger where none exists. The humans are primitives. They still use chemical rockets. They still fight wars on their own planet. They are nothing more than slightly smarter animals." "You are wrong, Elder," Quishin said, her form growing brighter. "Humans do not surrender. When cornered, they do not run. They become more dangerous. We have seen this pattern many times in their short history." Dr. Carter leaned over to Jake and whispered, "She's talking about World War II, and Vietnam, and Afghanistan." Jake nodded. He knew Earth's history well. Every time someone thought humans were beaten, they found a way to keep fighting. Szeth Kara laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the crystal walls. "Fairy tales, Elder. The Vorthan Empire has conquered 47 star systems. We have never lost a war. We have never failed to take what we wanted. One primitive world will fall in days, maybe hours." An alien that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. "The Vorthans are right. Why should we fear a species that cannot even unite their own planet? They still have separate nations. They still fight each other." "That is exactly why you should fear them," Elder Quishin said. "They have been fighting for thousands of years. They have learned every way to kill, every way to survive, every way to win against bigger, stronger enemies, and they never ever give up." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The Elder understood something that the others did not. She had done her homework on humanity. Another alien spoke up. This one was purple and had 6 legs. "Even if they fight well, they are only one planet. The Vorthan Empire has hundreds of worlds, millions of ships, billions of soldiers. Numbers do not matter to humans, Elder Quishin replied. When told they cannot do something, they find a way. When told they will lose, they fight harder. When outnumbered, they become creative in ways that make no sense to logical minds. Sethkara's 4 arms gestured dismissively. Creative? What? Creativity can overcome plasma cannons and shield generators? What creativity can stop a fleet of warships? Elder Quishin turned to look directly at the 2 humans in the observer section. Captain Morrison, Dr. Carter, you have been silent. What do you say to these claims? Jake stood up slowly. He was not supposed to speak, but the elder had given him an opening. Elder Quishin, members of the council, we came here hoping for peace. Earth wants to trade, to learn, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. But? Elder Quishin prompted. But, we've been listening, Jake said. And we've heard what Ambassador Zethkara plans to do to our world and our people, so I want to say something directly to him. Jake turned to face the Vorthan ambassador. Sir, you seem to think we're just another species you can conquer. You think we'll surrender when your ships show up. You think we'll beg for mercy when you start bombing our cities. The hall grew very quiet. You're wrong, Jake continued. Humans have a saying, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. We don't want to fight you, we'd rather be friends. But if you come to our world with weapons, if you threaten our families, if you try to make us slaves. Jake paused and looked around the hall at all the alien faces staring at him. Well, then you're going to learn why we're the only species on our planet that hunts for sport. The silence in the hall was complete. Zethkara's scales turned a darker color, which Dr. Carter recognized as a sign of anger. Is that a threat, human? No, sir, Jake replied calmly. It's a promise. You start a war with Earth and we'll finish it. We might lose, but we'll make sure you remember the cost for the rest of your very long lives. Dr. Carter stood up next to Jake. Members of the council, I study alien life forms. I've read the histories of many species here. Most of you have rules about war. You have codes of honor. You have limits on what weapons you'll use, what targets you'll attack. She looked around the room. Humans don't have those rules when fighting, for survival. We'll use anything, attack anything, sacrifice anything to protect our families. We'll fight with rocks if we have to. We'll fight with our bare hands if that's all we have left. An alien that looked like a walking tree spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. Surely you exaggerate. All civilized species have limits. Do they? Dr. Carter asked. How many civilized species have ever dropped nuclear weapons on their own planet? How many have ever fought wars that killed more than 50 million of their own people? How many have ever burned entire continents just to stop an enemy? The hall was silent again. Humans have done all of those things, Dr. Carter said quietly. And we're still here. We learned from it. We grew from it. But we remember how to do. Hiram Elder Quishin floated closer to the center of the hall. This is what I have been trying to tell you all. The humans have something most species do not. They call it spite. When someone tells them they cannot win, they try harder. When someone threatens to destroy them, they become willing to destroy everything to survive. Zethkara's voice was cold. Then they will learn that the Vorthan Empire does not make empty threats. Our fleet will show them the price of defying superior beings. Jake and Dr. Carter sat back down. They had said what needed to be said. Elder Quishin turned to face Zethkara. Ambassador, I have one more thing to tell you. In 300 years of life, I have seen many wars. I have watched species rise and fall. I have seen the strong conquer the weak countless times. She paused, her glowing form pulsing slowly. But I have never seen what happens when someone threatens to exterminate humanity. You are about to learn something that I hope you survive, long enough to regret. The council session ended with those words hanging in the air like a prophecy. Admiral Kesthon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Fist. The ship was massive, bigger than most human cities. Its hull was black metal that seemed to drink light, and weapons covered every surface. Around it, 66 other ships of the Vorthan war fleet moved in perfect formation through space. The admiral was old for a Vorthan, maybe 200 years. His scales had turned silver with age, and scars from many battles marked his forearms. He had conquered 12 star systems for the Empire. He had never lost a battle. Today would be no different. Report, he ordered, his voice sharp. Lieutenant Vexnor looked up from his console. We have entered the human solar system, Admiral. All ships report ready for combat. Weapons charged, shields at maximum. Kessathon looked at the tactical display. The human system was primitive. One yellow star, a few rocky planets, some gas, giants. Nothing impressive. The third planet from the star was Earth, home to 8 billion humans. Sensor reading on human forces? The Admiral asked. 12 ships detected, Admiral. They are moving to intercept us near their fourth planet. Kessathon laughed. 12 ships? They send 12 ships against 67? This is insulting. We could destroy their entire fleet with one of our heavy cruisers. His tactical officer, Major Thekval, studied the readings more carefully. Admiral, their ships are small. Very small. The largest is maybe 1/10 the size of our smallest escort vessel. Pathetic, Kessathon said. What weapons do they carry? Difficult to determine, Admiral. Primitive energy signatures, some kind of chemical propulsion. They appear to be using nuclear weapons. Every Vorthan on the bridge made sounds of disgust. Nuclear weapons were what primitive species used before they learned to harness plasma and particle beams. It was like bringing a stone axe to fight. Laser cannons, this will be over in minutes, Kessathon declared. Signal the fleet. We will destroy their ships quickly, then move to their planet. The humans will surrender when they see their defenders burn. Light years away, Commander Rick Davis stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance. Earth's newest warship was tiny compared to the alien vessels approaching, but it was packed with the best technology humanity could build. Davis was 45 years old, a career Navy officer who had trained his whole life for this moment. Alien fleet is 3 hours out, reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from the communications station. Long-range sensors show 67 ships. The smallest is 4 times our size. Davis nodded calmly. Weapons status? All missile tubes loaded and ready, answered Lieutenant Bob Chen from Tactical. Nuclear warheads armed, point defense systems online. Engineering? Chief Engineer Kelly Brooks looked up from her station. Engines running hot and ready, Commander. We can give you anything you need. Davis looked around his bridge. 12 young officers, average age 32. None of them had ever fought in space before. Earth had been at peace for 40 years, but they were ready. Listen up, Davis said. In 3 hours we're going to fight the largest space battle in human history. We're outnumbered more than 5 to 1. Our enemies have better weapons, better armor, and 1,000 years of experience. He paused, looking each officer in the eye. But we have something they don't understand. We're fighting for our homes, our families, our entire species. Every person on Earth is counting on us to buy them time to prepare defenses. The bridge was quiet. We're not going to win this battle, Davis continued, but we're going to make them pay for every inch of space. We're going to show them that humans don't quit. And we're going to teach them that threatening Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made. 2 hours later, the alien fleet reached the outer edge of human space. Admiral Kessathon watched as the 12 human ships moved to intercept them. The humans had positioned themselves near Mars, using the planet's gravity well as a tactical advantage. Incoming transmission from the human fleet, reported the communications officer. Put it on screen, Kessathon ordered. Commander Davis appeared on the view screen. He was wearing a simple blue uniform with Earth's flag on his shoulder. Behind him, the bridge of his ship looked clean and efficient. Admiral, Davis said, I'm Commander Rick Davis of the Earth Defense Force. You are entering human space without permission. Turn around and leave, or we will consider this an act of war. Kessathon laughed so hard his scales rattled. Human, you have 12 tiny ships. We have 67 warships. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will burn your planet to ash. Davis's expression didn't change. Admiral, I want you to remember something. You came here. You threatened my world. You chose this fight. We're going to finish it. The transmission ended. All ships, attack formation, Kessathon ordered. Destroy the human vessels. Show them the power of the Vorthan Empire. What happened next was not what the Admiral expected. The human ships didn't charge forward in a brave but stupid attack. They didn't form a defensive line and wait to die. Instead, they scattered like leaves in a storm, each ship moving in a different direction. "They're running," Major Thekval reported with satisfaction. "No," Kesethon said, studying the tactical display more carefully. "They're not running. They're spreading out." "Why?" The answer came 30 seconds later when the human ship EDF Courage launched 16 missiles at the Vorthan heavy cruiser Eternal Blade. The missiles moved faster than Vorthan sensors could track. They came in at odd angles, using Mars's gravity to change direction. "Impossible," breathed Lieutenant Vexnor. "Those missiles are maneuvering in ways that should tear them apart." 8 missiles struck the Eternal Blade. Nuclear fire bloomed against its shields. The ship shuddered but stayed intact. "Minor damage," reported the tactical officer. "Their weapons are primitive." But Kesthon was studying the battle differently. "Look at their formation. Look how they're moving. They're not trying to win a straight fight. They're trying to make us chase them." The EDF Defiance dove toward Mars, using the planet's atmosphere to shield itself from Vorthan plasma cannons. 3 enemy ships followed, trying to get a clear shot. But as they rounded the planet, they found themselves flying through a cloud of debris that the humans had somehow positioned there. "Meteor shower," reported the lead Vorthan ship. "Minor damage from impacts." "That's not random debris," Kesethon realized. They mined the approach route. The EDF Liberty, commanded by Captain Susan Blake, used a different tactic. Her ship was the oldest in the human fleet, barely spaceworthy, but she had loaded it with every explosive device Earth could build. "All hands abandon ship," Blake ordered over the intercom. 30 seconds to impact. Her crew had already evacuated in escape pods. Blake stayed at the controls, guiding her ship directly toward the Vorthan cruiser Dominator's Wrath. The 2 ships collided at a combined speed of 50,000 kilometers per hour. The explosion could be seen from Earth. "Status report," Kesethon demanded, his voice tight with anger. "The Dominator's Wrath is gone, Admiral, completely destroyed. The human ship, they rammed us. They crashed right into our hull." "Who rams a warship?" Major Thekval asked in disbelief. "It's suicide." "It's effective," Kesethon admitted grimly. "What's our fleet status?" 43 ships remaining, Admiral. We've lost 24 vessels. The humans are down to 7 ships. Kesthon stared at the display. In 2 hours of fighting, he had lost more ships than in his previous 10 campaigns combined. The human vessels were tiny, primitive, and outnumbered, but they fought like cornered animals. "Admiral," the communications officer called out. "Intercepted human transmission. They're calling for reinforcements." "From where?" "This is their entire fleet." "No, sir. These are just the ships they had in space. They're calling for support from their planet." On the tactical display, new contacts began appearing. Ships launched from Earth's surface, from moon bases, from asteroid mining stations. None were warships. They were cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining vessels, research ships. Anything that could fly and mount a weapon. "How many?" Kesethon asked. 237 new contacts, Admiral, more launching every minute." The Admiral felt something he had never experienced before in combat. Uncertainty. These humans were supposed to surrender after their fleet was destroyed. Instead, they were throwing everything they had into the fight. "Sir," Major Thekval said, quietly, "intercepted communications suggest the humans believe this is a fight for species survival. They think defeat means extinction." Kesethon's blood ran cold. In 1,000 years of Vorthan conquest, they had never faced an enemy that thought they were fighting for their very existence. Every other species had eventually negotiated, traded territory for peace, accepted defeat when it became inevitable. But humans apparently didn't think that way. "All ships," he ordered, "maximum firepower. Destroy everything that moves. We end this now." The EDF Defiance, now commanded by Lieutenant Rodriguez after Commander Davis was killed by plasma fire, dove toward Earth's moon. Behind her, 6 Vorthan ships gave chase, their weapons lighting up space. "Chief, I need everything the engines can give us. Rodriguez called out. "You got it, Lieutenant," came Kelly Brooks's voice from engineering. "But we won't last long under this kind of fire." "We don't need to last long," Rodriguez replied. "We just need to make them pay." 3 months after the battle for Earth, General Marcus Stone stood in a room deep underground. The walls were thick concrete, built to survive nuclear war. Screens covered every surface, showing star maps, enemy positions, and intelligence reports that would have been impossible to get just a year ago. Stone was 60 years old, gray-haired, and had fought in 3 wars on Earth. He understood strategy, but more importantly, he understood people. The aliens who had attacked Earth made one big mistake. They thought humans would fight like everyone else in the galaxy. "Gentlemen, ladies," Stone said to the officers gathered around the table. "The Vorthans wanted a war. They got one. Now, they're about to learn what human warfare really looks like." Colonel Patricia Wells stepped forward. She was 42, brilliant, and had spent her career studying biological weapons. Now she studied alien biology. "General, our analysis of captured Vorthan technology shows us everything we need to know. Their entire civilization is connected. Every computer talks to every other computer. They never learn to protect themselves from hackers because no one ever tried to hack them." "What about their bodies?" Stone asked. Dr. Henry Clark pulled up images on the main screen. "Fascinating weaknesses, General. The Vorthans have very fast metabolisms. They need to eat specific foods at exact times or they get sick. Their eyes are designed for their home planet's light. Certain frequencies of light that don't bother us can blind them temporarily." Lieutenant Colonel Danny Pierce raised his hand. Pierce was young, maybe 35, but he had been a hero during the Earth battle. "Sir, what about their colonies? Intelligence says they have civilian populations on 17 different worlds." Stone's face got hard. "The Vorthans chose total war when they threatened to burn Earth to ash. They wanted to kill every human alive. Now they get to learn why that was a bad idea." Captain Linda Hayes, head of the new Stealth Operations Division, spoke up. "General, we've identified the weakest targets. 8 colony worlds with limited defenses. If we hit them simultaneously, the Vorthans won't know where to respond first." "What kind of hits?" Stone asked. "Not military strikes, sir. Something better. We're going to make their own planets work against them." The human counterattack began at exactly the same time across 8 different worlds, but no one saw warships or explosions. Instead, small ships appeared in asteroid fields and planetary rings. They looked like research vessels or mining ships. Nothing threatening. From these ships, small teams of humans deployed what looked like scientific equipment. They worked quickly and quietly, then disappeared before anyone noticed them. On Vorthan Colony 7, Administrator Quelnax was having his morning meal when the first problem started. The food synthesizer, which had worked perfectly for 50 years, began producing gray sludge instead of proper nutrition. "Maintenance team to the food center," he called over the intercom. "We have a malfunction." But the maintenance team's equipment was also malfunctioning. Their repair tools sparked and smoked. Their diagnostic computers showed error messages in a language they didn't recognize. By the end of the day, every food synthesizer on the planet was producing inedible waste. On Vorthan, Colony 12, the atmospheric processors began mixing strange chemicals into the air. Nothing poisonous, but compounds that made the Vorthan population feel tired and confused. Within hours, the entire colony was moving in slow motion. Colony 15 found that their communication systems would only broadcast human music. Loud, painful human music that hurt Vorthan hearing organs. Every time they tried to call for help, all they got was something called heavy metal rock. On Vorthan Prime, the Empire's homeworld, Admiral Kessathon stood before Emperor Thax Korin in the throne room. The Emperor was ancient, maybe 400 years old, and had ruled for most of that time. His scales were gold with age, and his forearms were covered in ceremonial rings. "Explain to me," the Emperor said, his voice cold as space, "how the humans are attacking our colonies without warships." Kesthon's own scales had turned pale with stress. "Your Majesty, they do not fight like civilized beings. They sneak onto our worlds like thieves. They attack civilian infrastructure. They poison our air and contaminate our food. They fight without honor. Without honor? The Emperor's voice rose. They are winning without honor. Our colonies are in chaos. Our people are starving. Our communications are jammed with primitive noise. And you tell me they fight without honor? They are supposed to be primitive, Majesty. But they seem to understand our technology better than we do. They have turned our own systems against us. The Emperor's forearms trembled with rage. You told me they would surrender after we destroyed their fleet. You told me they were weak. They are weak, Majesty. But they do not fight like warriors. They fight like parasites. They infect our systems and make them sick. They hide in our machines and strike from within. On Colony 7, Administrator Quelnax tried to contact the homeworld for help, but when he activated the communication system, instead of reaching the Emperor, he got a human face on his screen. The human was middle-aged, wearing a simple uniform. His name tag said, Williams. He looked directly at Quelnax with calm, steady eyes. Administrator, Williams said. My name is Colonel Williams. I'm calling to inform you that your colony is now under human management. Impossible, Quelnax sputtered. There are no human ships here, no human soldiers. We would have detected an invasion. Williams smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Administrator, we've been on your planet for 6 days. We've been living in your ventilation systems, your computer networks, your maintenance tunnels. We know everything about your colony. We know where you sleep, what you eat, who you call when you're scared. You're lying. Our security is perfect. Is it? Check your personal computer. Look at the file marked Quelnax Personal Data. The administrator's blood ran cold. He activated his private computer and found a file that shouldn't exist. Inside were pictures of his family, his personal messages, his medical records, his financial information, everything private about his life. How did you get this? He whispered. We're very good at getting information, Williams said. Now, you have a choice. You can cooperate with us, help us keep your people safe while we make some changes to your colony. Or you can resist and discover what humans do to planets that resist. What kind of changes? Nothing permanent. We're just going to make your world temporarily unlivable for Vorthans. Your people can evacuate to other colonies. No one has to die. But this world now belongs to us. The transmission ended. Similar conversations were happening on 7 other Vorthan colonies. Humans had somehow infiltrated their most secure worlds without being detected. They had turned the planet's own systems against their inhabitants. Emperor Thax-Korin paced in his throne room, his forearms gesturing wildly. How is this possible? How do humans appear inside our most protected colonies? We believe they are. Using our own supply ships, reported Intelligence Director Kothmal. Every colony receives regular shipments of food, equipment, and personnel. The humans seem to be hiding inside these shipments. Then inspect every shipment. Search every container. We tried, Majesty, but the humans are very small. They can hide in spaces that our scanners cannot reach. They can disguise themselves as cargo or equipment. Some of them appear to be living in the walls of our ships. Living in the walls? Yes, Majesty. They seem to be able to survive in environments that would kill most species. They can breathe thin air, tolerate extreme temperatures, and eat almost anything. They are like insects. The Emperor's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Then we will exterminate them like insects. Prepare the annihilation fleet. Kothmal's scales turned white with fear. Majesty, the annihilation fleet has not been used in 200 years. It was designed to destroy entire star systems. Then, it is perfect for destroying humans. If they want to fight like parasites, we will burn them out like parasites. But even as the Emperor gave his orders, more reports came in. Colony 18 had lost all power. Colony 9 was reporting that their gravity generators were malfunctioning, making everyone on the planet weigh 3 times normal. Colony 23 was sending confused messages about their weather control systems creating massive storms. On Earth, General Stone received regular updates from his teams spread across Vorthan space. The operation was going better than expected. Sir, Colonel Wells reported, all 8 target colonies are now under our control. No Vorthan casualties, but their populations are evacuating to other worlds. Any military response? They're scrambling, fleets to each colony. But by the time they arrive, our teams are gone. They're chasing ghosts. Dr. Clark added, the biological warfare is working perfectly. The Vorthans are adapted to very specific environments. Change their air, their food, their light, and they can't function. Stone nodded. Phase 2? Captain Hayes smiled. Intelligence reports the Vorthans are preparing something called an annihilation fleet. Sounds like they're escalating to planet killers. Expected, Stone said. They're learning that they can't fight us conventionally, so they're going to try to just destroy everything. Sir, if they deploy planet killers, they could wipe out entire human colonies. The Annihilation Fleet was the most terrifying weapon in Vorthan history. 150 capital ships, each one designed to crack planets in half. 300 support vessels carried supplies, fighters, and troops. This was not a fleet built to conquer worlds. This was a fleet built to erase entire star systems from existence. Emperor Thaxcoran himself commanded from his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The ship was so massive it had its own gravity. Cities could fit inside its hull. Its main weapon could turn a planet into asteroids with a single shot. The Emperor stood on the bridge, his golden scales catching the light from 1,000 control panels. Around him, his war council gathered. These were the greatest military minds in Vorthan history. They had never lost a war. They had never failed to destroy an enemy. The humans have proven they cannot be conquered like civilized beings. The Emperor declared, they hide like insects, they strike from shadows. They turn our own technology against us, so we will not try to conquer them. We will erase them completely. General Vorthak, the Empire's greatest strategist, studied the tactical displays. Your Majesty, our target list includes every human world, every human station, every human ship. When we are finished, nothing will remain but cosmic dust. How long will it take? The Emperor asked. 6 days, Majesty. We will move from system to system, destroying everything. The humans will not have time to evacuate. They will not have time to surrender. They will simply cease to exist. The Emperor's forearms moved in satisfaction. Perfect. Begin the advance. But 3 days into their journey, the Annihilation Fleet began experiencing problems. Small things at first. Life support systems flickered on and off. Navigation computers gave strange readings. Food synthesizers produced meals that tasted wrong. Chief Engineer Vashanak approached the Emperor with obvious fear in his movements. His scales were pale, and his forearms trembled. Your Majesty, we have discovered the source of our malfunctions. Report, the Emperor demanded. The humans. Majesty, they are here on our ships, living humans. The Emperor's voice became very quiet, which everyone knew was dangerous. Explain. We found evidence in the ventilation systems. Human hair, human waste, human tools. They have been aboard our vessels for days, possibly weeks. Impossible. Our security is absolute. No unauthorized beings can board Vorthan ships. They did not board unauthorizedly, Majesty. They came aboard during our supply runs at Kepler Station. They appear to have disguised themselves as maintenance equipment, spare parts, even food containers. Before the Emperor could respond, every screen on the bridge went dark. Then, slowly, a human face appeared on every display throughout the ship. It was a man, maybe 50 years old, with short gray hair and calm blue eyes. He wore a simple black uniform with no decorations. Emperor Thaxcoran, the man said. My name is Captain Alan Brooks. I command Earth Special Operations Division. Right now, 96 of your 150 capital ships have human teams aboard them. The Emperor's mandibles clicked frantically. Guards, find these intruders. Kill them all. Brooks continued speaking as if he hadn't heard. We've been living in your ships for 72 hours. We've had time to study your technology, map your ship layouts, identify critical systems. We've also had time to plant quite a few surprises. Throughout the fleet, small explosions began occurring, not big enough to destroy the ships, but perfectly placed to disable weapon systems, life support controls, and navigation computers. See? Brooks said. Humans are very good at breaking things. We've had thousands of years of practice. We know exactly how to make complex systems stop working. On the flagship, sparks flew from control panels. The lights flickered. The artificial gravity fluctuated, making everyone feel sick. How many humans are aboard my ship? The Emperor demanded. Does it matter? Brooks replied. We could be anywhere. We could be in the walls, in the air ducts, in the computer cores. We could be disguised as your own crew. We could be standing right behind you. Every Vorthan on the bridge spun around looking for hidden enemies. Brooks smiled. Your Majesty, you wanted to exterminate humanity. You built this fleet to destroy our worlds, our families, our children. Did you really think we would just sit back and let you do it? What do you want? The Emperor asked through gritted teeth. We want you to turn around and go home, right now. Take your fleet back to Vorthan space and never come near human territory again. And if we refuse? Brooks's expression didn't change. Then you'll discover what humans do when we decide we really don't want someone to exist anymore. The transmission ended. Emperor Thax Korin stood in stunned silence as damage reports flooded in. 96 ships disabled simultaneously. Critical. Systems failing across the entire fleet. And somewhere in the darkness of his own ship, invisible enemies moved like ghosts. Your Majesty, whispered his tactical officer, how do we fight an enemy that appears inside our own vessels? Find them, the Emperor ordered. Search every compartment, every corridor, every ventilation shaft. Use scanners, use heat sensors. Use everything we have. For 6 hours, Vorthan security teams searched their own ships. They found evidence of human presence everywhere. Cut cables, modified computer programs, small explosive devices placed with surgical precision. But they found very few humans. The ones they did find were strange. They wore simple gray suits that seemed to blend with the shadows. They carried small, efficient weapons and tools that could cut through Vorthan armor like paper. When cornered, they didn't surrender. They fought with a vicious efficiency that shocked the Vorthan soldiers. On Deck 7 of the Eternal Dominion, Security Chief Kelvar cornered a human female in a storage compartment. She was small, maybe 30 years old, with brown hair tied back in a practical knot. Surrender, human, Kelvar ordered, pointing his plasma rifle at her. You are outnumbered and outgunned. The woman looked at him calmly. Chief Kelvar, she said, reading his name from his uniform. You have a mate named Silara and 2 younglings aged 12 and 15. They live on Vorthan Prime in the Golden District. Kelvar's blood froze. How do you know that? We know everything about your people now, the woman replied. We've been reading your personal files, your communications, your private messages. We know where your families live, where they work, where they go to school. You threaten our civilians? The woman shook her head. We don't threaten anyone. We're just letting you know that we could if we wanted to, just like you threatened ours. She pressed a button on a small device. Lights went out throughout the entire section of the ship. When emergency lighting came back on, she was gone. Similar encounters happened throughout the fleet. Humans appeared, delivered quiet messages, and disappeared. They didn't try to kill Vorthan crew members. They just wanted them to know that they could. Emperor Thax Korin called an emergency meeting of his war council. The room was supposed to be the most secure location on the ship. But when they arrived, they found a simple note on the conference table, written in perfect Vorthan script. We were here first. We could have killed you all. We chose not to. This time. Human Operations Team 7. General Vorthak's scales turned white as he read the note. They were in our most secure room. They could have placed explosives, poison, gas, anything. But they didn't, the Emperor realized. They wanted us to know they could have, but they chose not to. What does that mean, Majesty? It means they're giving us a chance to surrender. The thought was so alien that no one spoke for several minutes. The Vorthan Empire had never surrendered to anyone. They were the conquerors, the rulers, the supreme power in this part of the galaxy. Majesty, Chief Engineer Vashanok reported over the intercom. We're detecting more problems. The humans appear to have done something to our engine cores. We're losing power steadily. How long until complete shutdown? At current rate, maybe 6 hours. The Emperor looked around at his officers. Fear was something Vorthans rarely experienced, but he could see it in their faces now. They were floating in space, helpless, with invisible enemies moving through their own ships. Options, he asked. We could try to evacuate to the undamaged ships, suggested General Vorthak. And if the humans have teams on those ships too? Then we're trapped, Majesty. As if summoned by their conversation, the screens activated again. Captain Brooks appeared, still calm, still professional. Emperor, he said, you now have 4 hours of life support remaining on 96 ships. Your weapons are offline, your engines are disabled, your communications are jammed except for this channel. What do you want? The Emperor asked again. The same thing we wanted 3 days ago. Turn around and go home. Take your fleet back to Vorthan space. End this war. And if we agree? Then your ships will be repaired. Your crews will be allowed to leave safely, and humanity will consider this matter closed. You would let us go, after we tried to exterminate your species? Brooks was quiet for a moment. Emperor, we don't want to destroy the Vorthan Empire. We just want you to leave us alone. But if you keep trying to kill humans, we'll stop giving you choices. The Emperor understood the message clearly. This was humanity's final offer. 6 months later, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Empty seats marked where species had once sat with confidence. The Vorthan Empire's section was nearly vacant. Only 3 representatives remained, and they sat quietly in the back, afraid to speak. Elder Quishin floated at the center of the chamber, her ethereal form dimmer than before. The events of the past year had aged her in ways that surprised even her ancient species. She had seen many wars, but nothing like what humanity had done to the Vorthans. Members of the council, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. We gather today to discuss the end of the Vorthan-human conflict. In 6 months we have witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of translation devices. The Vorthan Empire, which has ruled this sector for over 1,000 years, has requested mediation to end their war with humanity. They have lost 47 colony worlds, their entire invasion fleet, most of their annihilation fleet, and their emperor has been overthrown by his own people. Ambassador Sarah Martinez of Earth stood to address the council. She was 45 years old, a career diplomat who had never expected to represent her species in a war crimes tribunal, but that's essentially what this had become. Her presence commanded respect in a way that human diplomats never had before the war. Members of the council, she said, her voice clear and strong, I want to make something very clear. Humanity did not want this war. We came to this chamber seeking peace, trade, and friendship. We offered to share our knowledge, our culture, our resources. She gestured to a holographic display that showed the timeline of events. The Vorthan Empire chose genocide. They came to our world with the stated intention of killing every human alive. They wanted to burn our planet to ash and erase our species from existence. The new Vorthan representative, a young male named Kexthan, stood with obvious nervousness. His scales were pale, and his forearms trembled slightly. He was maybe 50 years old, young for a Vorthan, and had been chosen specifically because he had opposed the war from the beginning. The Vorthan people acknowledge our terrible error, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. We beg the council to intercede on our behalf. The humans have shown mercy by allowing our civilians to evacuate their colony worlds, but our military resistance has been completely eliminated. Ambassador Martinez nodded grimly. Representative Kexthan speaks the truth. The Vorthan Empire as a military power no longer exists. We have ensured that. But we take no joy in what happened. Millions died because your leaders refused to listen to wisdom. Elder Quishin addressed the assembly. Let this be remembered throughout galactic history. The ethereal collective has observed warfare across the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have seen species fight with honor, species conquer for glory, species destroy for resources. But we have never seen anything like humanity. She paused, her form pulsing with something that looked like fear. Humans do not fight to win territories. They do not fight to gain resources. When threatened with extinction, they fight to ensure their enemy can never threaten them again. They do not seek victory. They seek the complete elimination of the threat. A representative from the crystalline hives, a species that looked like living gemstones, spoke up. Elder Quishan, surely you exaggerate. All species have limits to their warfare capabilities. Ambassador Martinez turned to face the crystal being. Do we? In 6 months, humanity demonstrated capabilities that our own scientists said were impossible. We infiltrated the most secure ships in Vorthan space. We turned their technology against them. We made their own planets uninhabitable for their species. She activated a holographic display showing the current state of former Vorthan territory. 47 worlds that were once Vorthan colonies are now under human protection. The Vorthan military has been disbanded. Their weapons factories have been converted to produce medical supplies and farming equipment. But how? Asked an alien that resembled a walking tree. Our intelligence suggests the Vorthans had overwhelming technological superiority. Dr. Lisa Carter, now promoted to Chief Science Advisor, stood beside Ambassador Martinez. Technology means nothing when your enemy is already inside your systems. Humans excel at one thing above all others. We adapt. When conventional warfare failed, we adapted. When their ships were too strong to destroy from outside, we found ways to destroy them from inside. Representative Kexthun spoke again, his voice heavy with shame. The humans fought like no enemy we had ever faced. They used our own supply ships to infiltrate our fleets. They turned our computer networks against us. They made our food poisonous and our air unbreathable. They fought without rules, without limits, without mercy. Without mercy? Ambassador Martinez's voice became sharp. Representative, we gave your people every opportunity to surrender. We warned your emperor repeatedly. We offered peaceful solutions right up until your annihilation fleet entered our space. But you destroyed our entire civilization. No, Ambassador Martinez said firmly. We destroyed your ability to threaten others. Your people are alive. Your homeworld is intact. Your culture continues. But your capacity for conquest is gone forever. Admiral Jake Morrison, now Earth's chief military advisor, stood from the human delegation. Let me tell the Council exactly what happened. The Vorthans made 3 critical mistakes. He activated a tactical display. First, they assumed we would fight like them. They expected honorable combat between fleets in open space. Instead, we fought like humans have always fought when our survival was threatened. We used every advantage, exploited every weakness, and refused to play by their rules. The display changed to show human infiltration routes. Second, they underestimated human adaptability. Within days of capturing their technology, our engineers had figured out how to hack their systems, poison their food supplies, and turn their own planets against them. And the third mistake? Asked Elder Quishan. Morrison's expression became grim. They threatened our families. They came to Earth planning to kill every human child, every human parent, every human elder. When you threaten human families, you don't get an honorable war. You get total destruction. A small alien that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke in a voice like musical notes. But surely there must be limits to human warfare capabilities. No species can be invincible, Dr. Carter answered. We're not invincible. We're just very, very good at making problems disappear permanently. The Vorthans became a problem when they chose genocide, so we solved the problem. How? The jellyfish alien asked. By ensuring they could never threaten anyone again, Ambassador Martinez replied. The former Vorthan military is now working in agriculture and medicine. Their weapons factories build farming equipment. Their warships have been converted to cargo haulers and hospital ships. Representative Kexthun looked up from his notes. The humans did something we thought was impossible. They conquered us without destroying us. They eliminated our threat while preserving our people. Elder Quishin floated closer to the center of the chamber. This is what I tried to warn you about. Humans are not just another species to be conquered or enslaved. They are the species that solves problems other species cannot solve. What do you mean? Asked the crystal being. 3 months ago, the hegemony pirates attacked the peaceful traders collective. The traders asked for human assistance. Within 2 weeks, the hegemony pirates no longer existed as an organization. Not defeated, not scattered, eliminated completely. The chamber grew very quiet. Admiral Morrison continued the explanation. The galaxy now has a choice. Humanity will coexist peacefully with anyone who offers the same. We will trade, share knowledge, explore the stars together. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. He looked directly at each alien representative in turn. But if you threaten human civilians, if you attempt genocide, if you force us to fight for our species' survival, then you will discover that we are very, very good at making threats disappear permanently. Ambassador Martinez added, the Vorthans were warned. Every species here heard Elder Quishin's warning. They chose not to listen. The results speak for themselves. The chamber fell into complete silence. Elder Quishin spoke one final time. Let this be recorded in the histories of every species. On this day, the galaxy learned that humanity is not just another member of the galactic community. They are the species you call when you need something dangerous eliminated. She paused, her ethereal form pulsing slowly. And they are very, very good at their job. Representative Kexthan stood for the last time. The Vorthan people have one final message for the galaxy. Learn from our mistake. The humans offered us friendship, and we chose war. They offered us peace, and we chose genocide. They gave us every chance to coexist. His voice broke slightly. We chose to test them instead. Do not make the same mistake we did. When humans say they want peace, believe them. When they warn you about consequences, listen to them. When they tell you to stop threatening their families. He looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at him. Stop. Because if you don't, you'll discover that there are fates worse than death. There is complete irrelevance. There is being forgotten by history because you no longer matter.